And I think I met amazing people and I was practicing the language on the spot, like very fast. Everyone was yelling at me. I was like making all of these mistakes. It was very fun. um, and then that was the first month. This is a picture of the Arraial. A lot of people, everyone having fun, talking to each other. Best time. And then the second month, we did stuff like working in the construction of the vegetable garden and chicken coop that they wanted to build in a school, where they wanted to like promote more of an integrated learning. And then they are hands-on learning. We also worked on dismantling the Arraial because there was so much stuff we had to move. And then we also were able to audit some of the advisory that was being offered to the immigrants. So that was also very interesting because we learned about the process of regularization. But since the first month had been like a lot of work for everyone, the workload was very high because everything was kind of like pushed back. And so there was little time for people at Renovar to engage with interns. It was definitely a slower month. And that's when a lot of frustration started to arise. And by month, I mean like first 2 weeks, because that's the time I was there for. But I remember we were sitting at the stairs, like just waiting for instructions, and we were asking what we could help with. And like, we were honestly kind of making up some of the work that we could do because there wasn't a lot of time to focus on interns. So this was very, very frustrating. I talked to some of the other interns there, and we had a lot of conversations about how we were all feeling frustrated. And we also had some communications with my boss. We tried to fix things. I had communications with SiPN, with Notre Dame. And I think that this was a very good experience. It was very frustrating for sure, but it was a great experience because I learned how to manage this frustration, not only in a new environment, but also like in an almost uncomfortable setting, because when you're an intern, you feel like you can't say much. But I think it was important that we learn to communicate that and to manage that frustration. These are just some pictures of us building the chicken coop. We were painting a random thing because we didn't, like, we just wanted to do something, so we painted that, and that's us waiting for instructions outside Renovar. And that picture to the right is us cleaning up after the Arraial, which was so much. And then, okay, and then this was like, there was definitely a lot of struggles. And after having a lot of conversations, I did decide to end the internship early. So that's why I'm on Zoom today. And although it was very hard and a difficult decision, I think it was an amazing learning experience to be able to like communicate your needs and find the positive aspects of having a hard time. So I'm still very, very grateful for the experience. And just to touch on some of the takeaways, there was a ton, but I think these are like some of the most important ones. I think my main takeaway, which I am so excited about, is learning to enjoy a softer paced life. And I think this is something that I want to carry on in my future, because I really appreciated how everyone was living in the moment. And I think that that's something that is easy to forget and something that's very important for us to like live our best lives. And of course, the beauty of Lisbon, its people and its culture, that is something that I will never forget. And I will be returning to Lisbon soon, I hope, because I loved it. I met new people. I met amazing people from all the different backgrounds with all the different life stories. And I left feeling truly inspired by everyone that I met there. And I also learned about acculturation, what it means to be in a different culture and to act or to interact with people from a different culture. And then I also learned about meeting expectations to your reality. I came in with a set of expectations that wasn't necessarily fully met, and it's hard to kind of like make peace with that sometimes because you have an idea in your mind. But I think I did learn how to kind of like make the best out of the situation. And I think that's an important skill to have in your life in general. I learned about communication. Communication was very important. Like as I was working in kind of, and also as I was communicating my uncertainties and like my needs, I learned about being patient and communicating in a different language because the language barrier was very hard. The double language barrier from Spanish to English or from Spanish to Portuguese. But I think that was a great experience. And then also I fulfilled my initial goal, which was to learn how to work or what working is like in an NGO. And I learned about the struggles of working with limited funds and how to manage that. So overall, I think it was an amazing experience. I am very grateful with everyone who supported me and very grateful to have gone on this trip. So thank you so much. And I can't hear anything, so I don't know what to do.
Questions? You can use the mic if you want. Yes. Test. Can you hear us, Juliana? Blink if you can hear us.
I can hear you, yeah.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I think so, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay. First, so cool about learning a pace life. Two questions. One, what are the what is the organization's goals to renovar? What does that entail, renovar? And two, if I may, how did they work with limited funds? What did that look like? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your question, Sam. I can't see you, but so Renovar's goals, they do a lot of like so as I mentioned before, Moraria is an area that is very diverse. You have like a lot of like rich people. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
She's still, yes. She was just in the process. She was just beginning to. But we can't hear her now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So as I was saying, Moraria is like a very diverse place. They have like a lot of different contrasts. You have like very poor people and very rich people and like people a lot of migrants who come from everywhere. So their goal is to kind of help build a community there where there isn't necessarily one, if that makes sense. So they do a lot of things to help enable this sense of community around like everyone. So they offer community engagement, but for people who need more support, they offer extra support. And for people to be regular in immigration status, they offer that support as well. So that's their goal. And then the second question is how they work with limited funds. I think this was kind of like a very hard part. flexible and be able to know that even if your work is like solely helping with immigration status issues, you still have to be willing to go and carry boxes up to the arrayal, because everyone has to collaborate in a sense where like there's not a person for every single position. So sometimes you have to stop what you're doing and do something that maybe is not of your interest or you feel like you shouldn't be doing, or like everyone's collaborating in like cleaning the kitchen or cleaning even like the bathrooms, because they have bathrooms that anyone can use. So it's kind of just having that flexibility of being able to say, I wish, like, I understand my help in this area is needed now, and even though that is not my area, I am gonna assist in that. So it's just, I feel like it's learning to be very flexible, and that's just one aspect of it. It's also, I had this plan, but we don't have the funds, so we have to be flexible and change. And I think that's like my biggest takeaway in the sense of like working with limited funds.
Thank you.
Juliana, can you hear the room now or no? Can you hear us?
I can't hear you.
No? Okay.
I don't know if you're.
Can you hear us now, Juliana? Right, but that computer's muted, but she should be able to hear the room. Can you hear us now? 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 Okay, I tried my best. Okay.
It's mute.
That's not the sound that it's not related to that computer. I don't know. Hello? Alexis, can you hear me? Alexis, you can hear me? Yay! It's working now. Magical. Okay. Oh, I need a breather. I'm sorry. Thank you, and thanks to the tech team who was dealing with some stuff. All right. Juliana, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your experience, and although I know that you left early, I also think it's important, just like anything else, I think I often talk about with students who are studying abroad with SiPN or otherwise, we can often romanticize going abroad, and although I think that that's awesome because it makes us feel really excited, at the same time, life happens here as well, and life doesn't always go the way that we planned, and I really appreciate your effort in trying to make the most of what the cards that you were dealt, I guess, in this situation with your internship, which certainly was very hands-on to say the least, and also at the same time, you know, of course, making sure that we're making decisions that are best for us. So thanks for sharing, and thanks for being here virtually, and your feedback. You know, the full spectrum of feedback is very welcomed. We also want you to give us honest feedback on your experience. Not all of it is always, unicorns and rainbows, as they say, and having that constructive feedback is also good for us for future internships. So thank you very much, Juliana. And moving on, we actually have Alexis. Sorry for the delay, Alexis. Since you can hear us, amazing. We have figured out the glitch, and you're ready to present. You can present when you're ready. Wait, can you speak? I don't know if we can hear you. Oh no. No, we can't hear you. Cool. Can you speak now? No.
Okay. Um, Juliana can hear me. Oh, I'm good. Okay, we're good. Awesome. All right, I will share my screen now then. Hello, everyone. I am Alexis, and I interned at SI, and I'm just going to go a little bit into my internship and my summer overall here in Portugal. But before I do that, thank you, Vlad, for being so flexible with me. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, I had to leave a little early, but thank you for still letting me be a part of this. So thank you for that. First, a little bit about me. My name is Alexis Widener Bennett. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana originally, and I am also an Indiana University Bloomington student. I'm working towards getting my dual masters in public affairs and international affairs, and my concentrations within both of those are in international development for the MPA and security, diplomacy, and governance for the MIA. Fun facts, I have 2 dogs, Belle and Franklin. I enjoy traveling. Reading is my favorite pastime, and I used to show horses, not internationally, throughout the United States, interstate, I guess, while I was growing up. So about my internship was at the Economic and Food Safety Authority here in Portugal, or better known as the SAI. My internship was primarily through their international affairs office in international development. However, I do have a background from a prior degree in organizational communications, and Asai also had me work in the communications office as well to help with a few things. So I kind of got 2 internships for the price of one. And throughout the course of this internship, I did everything from research to translating documents and just overall helping with other tasks at SI as they arose. And next is, what is SI? SI is Portugal's market surveillance authority with limited criminal police powers. They operate throughout mainland Portugal, and they do also operate in a limited capacity with Portugal's islands as well. They work primarily in prevention, monitoring, and policing of illegal activities that happen within food safety and economic surveillance. For those of us in the United States, the best comparisons would probably be maybe the FDA, I guess, with a little bit of overlap in the FBI and other like organizations. In pursuit of their mission, ASI depends on evidence-based scientific independence, precaution, credibility, transparency, and confidentiality to fulfill its organizational obligations for the government of Portugal. And basically, what I have outlined here is different subsets and different, I guess you could say, regional offices, for lack of a better term, for ASI throughout Portugal. They are headquartered primarily in Lisbon. However, each individual territory operates to monitor food safety and economic activity throughout their general region. Like Porto has their own region. Lisbon actually has their own regional office that is separate from the main office, though it does operate within Lisbon proper. But all of those are directly overseen and administered by the main office in Lisbon. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Now, as far as international development within ASI, ASI acts as Portugal's representative in the areas of food safety and economic surveillance for several different EU organizations. This could be everything from the European Food Safety Authority, which is EFSA, to also other organizations. They act as the primary point person, so they'll have their director general or other members of the International Affairs Office acting as that point person, and they'll act on Portugal's behalf at those meetings. ASI also works with its counterparts in countries where Portugal has strong ties. This is primarily in the greater Portuguese speaking world, not just within the EU. So this can be including its counterparts in Angola and Mozambique, which are particularly close to Portugal and ASI. Also, Macau within China is a partner with ASI as well, and others. ASI is also the point organization within food safety and its administration of economic surveillance with with its other bilateral cooperation organizations in the confines of these areas. I have a map here that's going to show areas where this bilateral cooperation exists and where ASI is the point person. So as you can see, there's a wide variety of countries that are here. ASI has contacts in just about every single area of the world with the exception of North America. Mostly because those are handled, at least in the US and Canada context, those are handled through the EU directly. That's the only reason why there's not existing bilateral cooperation. All of those are more informal. Formal obviously goes to the EU. But as you can see, for Europe, they have a lot of bilateral cooperation with Spain and Germany, as well as Turkey. Within Africa, of course, it's Morocco, Angola, and Mozambique, as I've mentioned prior. They work also with India and of course China, primarily in Macau, but they also, I was kind of surprised to have good bilateral cooperation as well with Japan. So as you can see, they work throughout the world. And just to kind of show some of the other organizations that I mentioned prior, where ASI is the Portuguese government's point of contact. As you can see, there's EFSA, but there's also the Food and Law Enforcement Practitioners Organization, Europol, Interpol. As I mentioned before, it is a policing organization. It's not just a policing organization. It only works within the areas of food safety and economic surveillance, but they do have those limited capacity powers. So they are part of your Interpols, Europol, and other multinational or international organizations that center around policing and public safety. So I thought those were some awesome things. Before I took this internship, I wasn't really aware of organization, like the role organizations play as the point person for their government for a lot of these policing organizations. So that is something that taking from this really broadened my perspective in the world of international development and international cooperation. It was amazing to see how far ASI's reach goes. And you wouldn't really know without having the chance to have this internship and do all of this hands-on. So next is my work for the communications office. Most of my work for the communications office was mostly transcribing and translating documents and social media posts and forums from Portuguese into English. A lot of this was done ahead of the Catholic World Youth Day 2023, which is actually being held in Lisbon. I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed that there's a lot more people coming into Lisbon right now, and there's a lot of things going up. And this is in response to the Catholic World Youth Day. The Pope is actually going to be in Lisbon. And because of this, ASI, with its position as a policing and economic surveillance and food safety organization, has been releasing a lot of communication, primarily in Portuguese, just trying to, communicate some risks to the public or let them know their options if they should encounter a risk, to people who speak Portuguese. However, since it's expected that somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million people are going to be attending this, not everyone speaks Portuguese. So they were using a lot my knowledge of English and my limited capacity knowledge of both Spanish and Portuguese to translate a lot of these documents into English so their posts can reach a wider number of people. But yeah, so that is primarily what I did with the communications office. And throughout this, I was able to develop some skills throughout the projects that they had me work on that I think just in general helped me for the future. Throughout this, I was able to apply many skills that I learned both in the classroom into a real world setting. There's only so much you can learn in a classroom that doesn't, how do I want to phrase this? Learning it in a classroom only takes you so far. What I was able to do is I was able to take the basic foundations from a lot of classes I've taken in approaches to development, developmental economics, international financing, classes like that, and apply them to real world circumstances like projects that SI was working on. And because I had that foundational knowledge from school and the greater knowledge that I ascertained from being on the ground in SI, I was able, I felt like, to kind of take a consultant role in the projects I was working on so I could kind of harmonize both of these and create, I think, better products and better recommendations than I would have been able to otherwise. So from that point of view, I'm forever grateful for this internship because I was able to see not just the application of the learning that I'd gotten from my master's degree, but I was able to kind of learn skills in this harmonization that I hope will help me in the future when I actually take on my career. And next is my experiences in Portugal. I got to do a little bit of traveling while I was here, so I just want to touch on that briefly. Throughout my time in Lisbon and Portugal specifically, I had the chance to explore the country both on my own and with my husband during the short time that he came to visit. While here, I visited Carcavelos, Cascais, Portino da Rábida, Sesimbra, and Belém. I am so sorry, I probably butchered the pronunciation. But within Lisbon, I was also able to spend time in Alfama. I was able to visit Lisbon's famous oceanarium. They actually have one of the best oceanariums and most famous ones in all of the European Union. And I was able to explore the history of the city through guided tours, as well as a Sephardic history tour that was done from members of the former Sephardic community that actually came back to Portugal when they started giving citizenship back to the descendants of the Sephardic community. So that was very good to hear about that history from the descendants of people whose ancestors were part of that subjugation. And also I got to see Lisbon at sunset through river guided tours. And basically I just have for you a few pictures of the places that I've been. This place, I think the one thing that really I took from this is Lisbon and Portugal specifically is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to. I've been to Europe before. This is the longest I've ever been in Europe, but Portugal is not really like anywhere else I've ever been in Europe. The people are so kind. The philosophy to life is so refreshing. It helped me kind of take a step back and understand the world in my life in general in a greater way than I had before. I was able to think about, like, do I want to live life this fast and always try to get this next degree or work on this job, or do I want to focus on living a life that's fulfilling and makes me happy? Because I feel like, at least in the contacts I've had within Portugal, people here seem to care more about living lives that are fulfilling for themselves and happiness for each other. There's this sense of community that just I don't feel like I have back home, that I hope that I can try and adopt that into my life. But yeah, here's just a few photos. I have a picture from the oceanarium of the shark. I screamed when I saw it, so that was fun. And yeah, just overall beautiful landmarks and beautiful views. And I will never forget my time in Portugal. So that is the end of my presentation. I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can? Perfect. Alexis, thank you so much. So nice to see you. Thank you for your presentation. Do we have any questions from the crowd? Leslie was just waving. Questions from the crowd? No? Okay. How are you doing? That's my question.
I'm doing well. I'm very, very jet lagged. It was a long day yesterday, but I'm back. I'm actually kind of sad. I actually cried when I was walking to my plane in Portugal, and I wasn't expecting to. So I think I'm gonna be back to visit.
Well, you're of course welcomed here, Flat. Oh, there. Okay, I didn't know the camera did that. Hi. You're welcomed whenever you want to come back and visit. So, thank you so much, Alexis. You're right before our coffee break, which, by the way, has to be cut very short because we're running behind schedule. So, Alexis, you're free to go. No, you're fine. It was technical difficulties that caused the delay. So, everyone here, we have like 5 minutes. Grab something to drink and snack, and you can bring it back in here. And then we'll start off the afternoon section with Elsa. Okay? See you in 5 minutes. Okay, let's bring it on back. Is Ricardo. Hello? 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 Testing, 1, 2, 3. Why is there an echo? Okay, even though there's an echo, I will think of it as artistic. This is now modern art, which makes sense because we're going to transition into an art presentation. I don't know why there's an echo. Well, it got everyone's attention. Oh, there it is. Amazing. Fantastic. It was an artistic modern art expression of presentations and public speaking. Welcome back, everyone, from our coffee break. Sorry I had to be short. We're running behind schedule, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time, especially because we have one other Zoom person who's going to present after Elsa. So, starting us off in our last section, section 4, we have Elsa Shao, also from Indiana University, who did her internship at the Museu Nacional de Historia Natural y da Ciencia. So, Elsa, when you're ready, let me just make sure that he's going to put your presentation up in like 2 seconds, I think. Okay, great. You can come up. Perfect. Round of applause for Elsa, please.
Hi, all. Wait. Okay. Okay. Thank you all for being with me, and thank you, Sophia, for coming here, supporting me, and my bestie, Eileen, from from Britain. Like, thank you, and thank you, Paula, for getting me connected with Sophia. That's such an amazing experience working at the museum with her. So I'm the assistant, curator assistant of Sophia, the curator of the temporary exhibition for contemporary art in the National Museum of Natural History and Science. I want to talk a little bit about why I choose to do my intern in Portugal. Back in the States, my part-time supervisor, Corinne Preston, her husband, Dan Preston, probably some of you know him. He's the person get us connected with this flat. And my supervisor, Corinne, she's always talking about like her family always spend the vacation in Portugal every summer. And she's like, you should go. They have like really good art, good food, amazing people. I was like, yeah, of course I should apply, and I love European cultures. And also, I was a little bit nervous before I came here. I couldn't sleep the night before I fly to Portugal because I don't know what to expect. I'm Chinese originally. I grew up in China and I moved to the US 7 years ago. But that's the first time I'm doing my internship in a foreign country with speaking a language that is not my mother language. I did internship in Beijing for History Museum and the Contemporary Art Gallery, but that's the first time I'm doing my internship in Natural History Museum, and I didn't know what to expect because like I love animal, I love nature, but I don't have the background of that. But fortunately, Sophia is in charge of contemporary art, which is my interest area. And basically in the museum, I'm helping Sophia to communicate with artists from almost like across the world. Like there's German artists, Spanish artists, Portuguese artists, of course. And I also help Sophia to write publications about the exhibition and the exhibition summaries to help the audience understand better the exhibition under her supervisor, which I really enjoy. I love writing, I love art writing, and I'm really glad that I'm able to use in English to write something in English that the tourists or people who doesn't speak Portuguese to understand the art, the artist, and the exhibition. And yes, also like me and Sophia, we both agree that artists are very different. And I've been working with artists and went to art school for 4 years when I was like in undergrad school. And I know most of artists, they have ego problems, which is a good thing as artists because you need to have ego to make your art like personal. So some artists we collaborate with, they have a very strong opinion about how they want their artwork to be present in the museum. Some of artists, they have no idea about like what to do with the exhibition. So me and Sophia, we both need to be very adaptable for the artist's personal interest and also balance it out with our profession. So we're trying our best to show the artwork of the artist, make artists happy, also make an audience understand the exhibition. And basically, I work a lot in this amazing exhibition room. Some of you probably don't know the museum is associated with Lisbon, and it used to be the science and medicine department of the university. So that one is actually a historical old chemistry lab for their science department. So I think one thing I learned a lot by working with Sophia in this environment is that first of all, that's a historical setting, and we work with contemporary artists a lot. So how to integrate contemporary art in a historical site is very challenging, but like it turns out like every exhibition we did is like they have really good feedback. That's one thing that I really like about Portugal. We all know like European, they have really abundant Asian art history, but I feel like Sophia has been doing a really good job and helped me to learn how to bridge the gap between the past and the present, between the old and the new. And thank you. Some of them like came to my museum, support my job, and I think like you all really enjoyed it, and you all like love Sophia. What else? Sorry. Okay. So that is my first day. I didn't expect that I need to work on my very first day. I came in like 11 a.m. in the morning and I called Sophia. I was like, hey, Sophia, I'm your intern from Indiana. And she's very friendly. I was like, oh my gosh, thank God my supervisor is so friendly. I can now relieve because like I worked with many other people in the arts. Some of them are very different. Some of them are very friendly, but luckily, Sophia is the nice one and friendly one. And she took me to the park to have coffee, and we talked about, like, she told me she just got back from Netherlands for Vermeer's exhibition. I was like, oh my God, I love the artist. We had a coffee together. We exchanged our social media account. We got to know each other, and then she brought me to the gallery where we are helping the Spanish artist Cesar to put together his exhibition. And many of my friends, they came to the opening, which I'm really grateful. Also, like it's I think 60 years of relationship between America and Portugal, and Sophia is very generous and very trusting. She brought me to 2 conferences of art in embassies, and it's amazing that I met one of my undergrad school professor, Nick Cave, in that event, and I introduced Sophia to Nick Cave and Nick Cave to Sophia. So I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing that I can meet my school professor in a foreign country, and he's such a successful Chicago-based artist. And also I met many other famous big names from both the US and Portugal, like Deborah Cos. She is a really famous American artist, and Amy, she did the portrait for Michelle Obama. So I think that's such a great opportunity that Sophia introduced me to that event. Also, because I feel like Sophia's she's been generous. She like introduced me to experience a little bit of everything about art in Portugal, and I also was so lucky to visit the fine art school of Lisbon. I've been talking with Genesis that I want to apply PhD program here, so I was like, that's so nice. I can visit the school that I probably gonna apply for and like get connections with students and professors there. So the first 2 pictures are like the professor. He's actually retiring this summer, so he's giving the last lecture to us about art history, and it's like very touching moment, and people respect him, and I was so lucky to be a real lecturer in the school. Also, Sophia, she's jury of one of the master students in the fine art school's dissertation, and I read his dissertation. Unfortunately, it's in Portuguese, and so I need to translate it page to page, but that helped me to learn some terminologies of art in Portuguese. So I have also in the dissertation is such an amazing experience, and I made a connection with the student in that school. Also, because the Natural History Museum, Sophia brought me to the taxidermy lab, which is so amazing. It's kind of weird, like the first day, because Mondays always closed for museum, and like they don't really turn on light. So I was a little bit scared by the dead but looks living animals, and I was like, is my life gonna be like every day? Like it's kind of scary. But after a couple of weeks, I can get used to that. And there's a fun fact about me. So many of my close friends know that I have a really bad bird phobia. Bird. See? Bird hit me. It's so birds freaks me out. Like because see, that's just my destiny. Okay. Okay. Because like one of my really traumatized childhood experience with bird, I was like get freaked out by them before I worked in the Natural History Museum. And then after being like hanging out with all the taxidermy stuffed birds, I can't get used to them and one time Sophia probably didn't know I secretly like touched the taxidermy owl in her office. I was like, oh, it's actually soft, they're cute, like they're not that scary. And now I feel like I'm more comfortable when like birds approaching me. I won't like freak out or yelling, act like a crazy girl. That's like a bonus for working in Natural History Museum. I also helped Sophia to work on a Vida Viçosa initiative. You might know Vida Viçosa has long history. I can spend more than an hour talking about the history about Vida Viçosa, but I'm not gonna. Probably Kenny, you know more than me about history, so I don't know. Long story short, so it's like since the 12th century, I believe it has Moorish regime, Roman regime, and then finally Portugal royal family. They built a summer house, vacation house in Vila Viçosa. But there, I was lucky to meet the mayor of the municipal. He's very nice person and trying to introduce contemporary art to the historical site. The first picture is actually the laundry room in the early 20th century where the water supply was not that convenient, so people need to use the place to get water and wash their clothes and hang it on the hanger and dry it. So he's trying to reuse this site to bring in more contemporary art. I think it's like, again, I really appreciate how Portuguese trying to integrate contemporary art into historical art. I'm from China, where we also have like long history, but I feel like Chinese people are more rigid about like keeping our historical like ancient art original, but I feel like Portugal is very progressive and trying to combine those two and bridge the gap between the past and present. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. And again, like that's the introduction of the exhibition I wrote under Sophia's supervising, and she's incredibly nice to me. She put my name on the English sheet, which I didn't expect. Like I was like, oh my god, I'm not a ghostwriter anymore, and she's like recognized my capability. And that's such a nice thing that she gave me that much independence and like have faith in me. That feels awesome when I see my name on the print out version of the introduction. And also I feel really good that I can help like English speaking or non-Portuguese speaking people to understand the art, because I really believe, one time I was talking with our residence artist, that what's the role of a curator in the contemporary art field. I really believe that art is not for people with art background. Everyone should be able to appreciate art. So curator plays a role that as a medium to bridge artist and audience. You don't need you don't need to use too many fancy words, but you should help the artist to express their feeling, their emotion, their inspirations, and then you should also help the audience to be not afraid to go to the museum and be able to appreciate art, like really comfortable setting. Also, like a big plus of this internship is like Sophia brought me to many good art exhibition openings. We went to Guggenheim Foundation where I saw the fantastic. I always forgot his name. Sorry. Giacometti, sorry. Giacometti's exhibition is really the first time I see that many of his work in a museum. And I went to the Sahavs Foundation, the museum in Porto, and Coimbra Monastery, Museo d'Histoire, and many galleries. I couldn't name all of them, and also National Contemporary Art Museum to see Christine's exhibition. Also, like I got free drinks, as you can see, like a lot of free drinks. And also, one thing I learned about being a contemporary art curator is that you have to have good socializing skills. And one time, I think our highest score of going to exhibition opening, if I'm right, it's like 4 different openings in one night, and I secretly counted, I probably introduced myself like 20 times. And after that, I tell my friends like, hey, like I gotta take a moment, like please don't shut up, don't say anything to me, like my social battery is died. But I really enjoy it. I feel like you got to know new people, you got to like learn culture from like people from different culture background. That's really amazing to me. Also, I did a lot of artist studio visiting where I learned what's their artistic practice, which is very important for a curator to understand what they want to express through the expression, and it help us to write publications for them to make their art to be seen. It's just amazing to go in like different artists studios, like they all have like different settings, interior design stuff. So I just love talking with artists. And thank you, Sophia. I told my friend I'm gonna cry, but I'm gonna hold it together. I'm sorry. I'm Pisces. I'm just like, but I'm sorry. Like you are not just a curator. You're such like a mom and like a friend to me, and I'm like really appreciate your kindness, and not just your profession. Like your kindness to me and to my friends, very inspiring. Like. I love you. I'm sorry. Oh, oh. I feel like you're, to be honest, the best boss I can ask for. Like, I'm really appreciate that I did my first curating internship with you, and like you're like really inspire me for like different perspective. I feel like you and me can be like lifelong friends. So, I'm sorry. And these artists I collaborate, they are like really amazing artists. Please feel free to take free. I'm sorry. And please feel free to take picture of these artists and find them on internet and like follow them on social medias, because they all really amazing artists. And Hugo, you might see his public artwork like in the train station. I'm so lucky that I can work with him for 1 month. Manuel, very amazing sculptor artist. Cesar, Spanish artist, and Kai Baum, he's a German artist who studied fine art and taxidermy, and he did a really good job combining these two together. So that's my experience. And Sam, please help me with the staying that like I'm gonna come back to Portugal. What's that? Thank you. That's what I want to say.
So moved. Wow. Well, does anyone have any questions for Elsa? I know that you. Can he have a? This is so moving. I have tears like forming right here. Kenny, you have a question? You want to just like enunciate?
Since you saw a lot of different Portuguese artwork, was there, and there may not be a good answer to this question, but was there any traits or like common traits that you saw throughout the different types? And how do you think, if at all, what you've seen in Portugal, the artwork you've seen in Portugal will affect your own personal art style?
Yeah, of course, like a major difference, like feel Portuguese artists, they don't really address political point or like ethnicity stuff in their artwork. It's very different from America. I feel like I went to a really progressive art undergrad school, and like it's kind of like your fault not addressing any of your political stand. But like I'm from China, like I'm not associated with either the Republican or the Democrat policy, so I was really struggling with my own artistic practice by working in America. But in Portugal, I feel like there's nothing wrong. You can only appreciate the beauty of art, or like your own feeling, express your own emotion in your art. And I feel like Portuguese artists, they really like to explore the true value, the intrinsic value of art, and they like to combine, like the artist combine science with art, physics with art, like some other like scientific object with art, which is very amazing. I feel like that's what American art school need to address. So the Chinese art school, like it's in China and America, feel like our school is our school. We call them our kids. Like they can't assume that they do nothing except art. So I feel like if American art school could address like science or other perspective like social science, it would be really good for many artists artistic practice, because I feel like a really awesome artist need to know a lot of like philosophy, science, other stuff. You cannot just learn art to be an artist. That's I always believe that. Yes.
Thanks, Chancellor of Arts of Chicago.
Sam, I might. Okay, quickly.
It seems like you had a great experience. What did you do to have such a good experience and to learn so much?
First off, like Sophia, she's been very generous, like teaching me everything. Like she's like brought me to her own life, and like I closely work with her the whole time. I don't really like work with other departments, so like I can't see how a really good curator's life would be. And also, I feel like I don't know. I just love art. I love curating, and it's very nice. I forgot to tell that I built really strong connection with Fia and her friends, which can benefit my artist friends. So like, actually now I'm like working to get my one of Chinese artists to have a station here. So I think it's very nice. I think that's my big passion. Is like helping young emerging artists to make their art be seen. Which Sophia, she really appreciate like helping artists. She told me like she are not really interested in helping the big names because they have too much exposure already. And I was like from art school, and I know not every artist they are rich or they have like they're resourceful. I also work in for-profit galleries. They always like only promote like people who's big name. So I feel like that's one thing I really care about, like make young artists to be seen.
Awesome. Thanks again, Elsa, and thank you, Sophia, as well. And thank you, Paula, for making this connection, yes? Round of applause for this trio here. Okay, so moving on, because I know we're behind schedule. So we have one more Zoom presentation, which is the sole representative from Bridgewater State University. Bruno Moreno is on Zoom. So Bruno is a unique intern in the sense that he was our one intern who actually did an internship specifically at a university or more academic-based internship at Instituto Superior Técnico. So Bruno, can you hear us? Bruno, can you hear us? Okay, 1 second.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
I can, very slightly.
Okay, but we can hear you.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Presentation. Oh.
Bruno, do you want to share your screen?
Oh, I'm sharing? Yeah. 1 second, let me get right here up and running. Using my tablet, so please bear with me. we go.
Yes.
Perfect. F9. Oh, there we go. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So my name is Bruno Moreno. Thank you for bearing with me with the technical difficulties a little bit. Yeah, my name is Bruno Moreno. I'm from Bridgewater State University. I am a photonics and optical engineer major for my bachelor's at Bridgewater State. I am the first of my bachelor's, first of my the students and everybody else to go do a study abroad for the major. The major is fairly new for the field. From what I gathered and from all the different professors that I talked to, it's fairly new, about 2 years now. It was first enacted in 2021. And since then, they had a bunch of physics students that were getting photonics jobs right after Bridgewater, so they decided to start engineer program, the first of its kind at BSU. So at first, this is my project that I was working on. You can see the two images on the table, they're the same one. There's just the one on the left is the final product, and the one on the right is the final product, but a week or two before, and all of the entire setup working. The setup is called an entangled photon pair source for free space quantum communications. And it was done by me and my supervisor, Gonçalo Lobito Batista Teixeira. And let's see, oh, there we go. So the project was a photon pair source. What a photon pair source is, it's a source that generates entangled photon pairs via spontaneous ferrometric down conversion, aka SPDC process. The setup needs to generate high frequency photons to pump a nonlinear crystal. And these are two images kind of stuck together of the same project. The one on the left is in the process of building it, just making sure everything is very finely aligned. And the right part is with the PBS. As you can see, the crystal, the cube in the middle right there, that's the crystal that we kind of pump the high frequency source through to kind of diverge and make a loop, kind of not rectangular, triangular loop. The process is probabilistic, since there's a certain chance of generating the photons per pump pulse. So we might get it, we might not, but we are trying to maximize our chances and the percentage that we do get the photons per pulse. The process ends with a light beam containing pump photons that then down convert and photon pairs generated inside of the crystal. And in order to only have the correlated photon pairs at the exit, we include a bunch of filters to remove the presence of pump photons in the beam. It's a very, very, from what I gathered, I didn't know too much. I kind of learned as I went, because this is a field, a part of the field that's very far ahead of where I am. I'm currently finishing my bachelor's, and some of the stuff here is, it's not some of the stuff, all of it, it's PhD level from what I gathered. But my supervisor and everybody in Institute Technical was very, very supportive and very, very nice at teaching. My supervisor, I'll tell him all the time, he's a very, very good teacher, because I completely got it. Even some of the stuff flew over my head, but he kept saying it again, and I eventually kind of get it a little bit. Not everything, there's still a lot to learn, but getting there. Some of the things I learned was the setup I built along with Gonçalo, Pedro, and José de Summer is an updated version of the image you see right here on the top. That's Gonçalo shared with me his thesis, and this is one of the images from his thesis of the setup that we're building. You can see the setup on the bottom. That's what it fully powered, and we could see beautiful light. Honestly, this is UV light. This is, I believe, it's 405 nanometer wavelength, and some of the stuff that I learned was general knowledge about quantum mechanics and more on Bell's inequality. I didn't know any of it before getting to Instituto. I knew I was going to take some classes about it, but I completely was very surprised that I didn't know that I went there and they were teaching me some of the stuff that I thought was going to be a few years down the line for me to learn. So the setup is very hard to build. It took many, many weeks just to get what you see there. It's very, very precise and fine alignment that it kind of, the picture doesn't do it justice. You have to be there and really see it and really take care of the building. Every little part on that table was built and very carefully measured for it. There's a lot more that I need to learn. As I said before, there's a lot that I need to learn about quantum mechanics, Bell's inequality. They give me a very good rundown, and I took a lot of good notes. I have all their context in case I need I have any questions towards it, because it was a lot in the very short few weeks that I was there. It was still an amazing learning experience. Things I learned too was this type of hands-on building is something that I do hope to keep working on during my career as an engineer. It's something that, like, again, a few months ago, if you would told me this is a thing, I had no clue if that it even exists. I've heard small stories about little news articles uh, about that going on in the world. I never thought I'd be part of that. Some of the challenges that we occurred during the setup was that we were running out of postmans a few times. There was quite a lot of projects that was being worked on at the same time as this one. And one of the projects that I'm very, very uh, interested about, that I was kind of learning throughout, was they were making a satellite for quantum telecommunications, and they were working on the setup for it, and I was very, very intrigued. I still don't know really too much about it, but I was very mesmerized with how everything was working there. Uh, we ended up improvising some of the posters. You could see right next to the post star right there. You see the light beams. It's very dispersed. It wasn't like a very Gaussian laser beam. You could see like there's two dots on it. We wanted to have just a very straight dot, a very circular, but we ended up still working with it and finding ways around it to improvise. And some of the post mounts weren't magnetic for our post, and a lot of times, even during, we'd come back the next day. Let's say we're working on it Monday night, and then we come back Tuesday morning. It would move slightly on the alignments because it's a very, very fine, precise alignment. Even small movements throughout the night, just random things like the building could move a little bit. That kind of stuff would change some of the parameters like that. My last day there, the amount of power that we kind of figured out, that I kind of got, wasn't as much as we needed. We were still working on it, but sadly, my supervisor wasn't there to fully guide me through it. But we ended up, you still said it was a good project for what we did. Now my overall experience in Portugal. Checking my time. So my overall experience in Portugal was really, really fun. I'll say that. Thank you to Vlad and SiPN for really helping me in finding like a very good program for me to be a part of and learn a lot from. I do say, of course, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard this. The food is just amazing. Portugal, the food is just, you can't beat it. You go down the street a little bit, you find some good food. It's very home cooked meal. I love it. It was amazing coming back to my country of birth too. It was I was born in Portugal until I was about 8 years old until I immigrated here, and it was a trip. I haven't been there since I was 9, and a lot changed. A lot changed. It was a it's a once in a lifetime experience, really, to go back there, see all the things, and be able to work at such an amazing institute with amazing people. Seeing old friends, seeing old family members, everybody was very welcoming, very amazing people. And transportation in Lisbon, amazing. I live a few hours from Boston, where we lived. Everything is by car, so taking transportation and going around is just it was amazing. You just take the metro, you go a few stops, you're in Cologne. You take another few stops, you're at the airport. It's like wow. uh, Studio was amazing. Walkability, great social events, and the tourism is unbeatable in Portugal. I loved it, 100%. And thank you. This is this image before I go. This image is of the photon pairs that we were able to detect. Sadly we weren't able to measure it, but we were able to get the photon pairs with the setup that we built. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Can you hear me or no?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we have time for just one question. Does anyone have a question for Bruno? Kenny with the questions.
So I don't know anything about engineering. Is not what I study. So my question is, all the work you were doing with the photons and everything. What is the end goal? Like what is the? I hate to say what's the purpose of it, but what is the purpose of it?
Right. So the purpose, this is just the gist of it. I'm still very much learning about it, but talking with the students there, it's for quantum telecommunication. So we can have much more secure and better encrypted means of communication. Some of the stuff that the guys were working, like I mentioned before, the satellite was for telecommunication to be as secure as it's ever been, ever, honestly. Because I don't know if you heard, like a bunch of different countries are competing for quantum computers, quantum encryption to kind of get ahead. And one of the problems that we might get in the future a little bit is like I believe it's 256-bit encryption. With a quantum computer, we'll be able to crack that code, which would normally take normal computers years and years and years to crack. A quantum computer could do it in such a short amount of time that it will be a security risk for everything. So that's what we're working on. The guys are in the lab are working on, and yeah, it's amazing. Thanks so much.
Bruno, you're welcome to stay watching our final presentation of the day. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I'm sorry you couldn't be here with us, but I do hope that even though your time was maybe a bit shorter in Lisbon, that your internship, it sounds like you learned a lot and got like a crystal ball fortune telling of your future in your placement. So come visit soon, and yeah, I don't know if you have any final words.
Definitely, thank you so much for everything. Even though my time was short, I had to cut it short. I appreciate everything that was done for me. It's a very once in a lifetime experience. I would love to go. I'm definitely going back to Portugal again because of you. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Bruno. All right. Last but not least, concluding our fourth section and closing us off, we have Leslie Kutsenko. Gosh, I asked somebody. They lied to me. Kosenko? Kosenko. Thank you. It's okay. Sorry. From Indiana University, also from Indiana University, and she did her Fulbright at the Fulbright. Oh, she did her internship at the Fulbright Commission of Portugal. So a round of applause for Leslie.
Can you see me over this? Okay, good. First, I want to say thank you for all the interesting presenters, because I'm just making sure I don't trip and have a hold on this. Thank you, because it's 50-50 chance. I mean, I know that we're running behind, but I think it's really important that everybody's going through all of the presentations. Everybody is really passionate about what they're doing, and I think it's amazing to see the diversity of all the different people and all the different countries that they're from, and the different sets of work. And it's inspiring, to be quite honest. So, Fulbright. If you haven't heard of it, you're going to hear about it now. First, I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit and about Fulbright, what my internship was, what the tasks were. Fulbright Impact, which was a series that was created kind of as an evolution of the task that we did, and a comparative view. So I took a view at what do universities look like in the U.S. What does Portugal look like to the rest of the world? What does the job look like, culture, et cetera? And then how can I apply any of this in the future? And then we'll conclude it. So who am I? I am, Atilia called me spicy. I will never forget that for the rest of my life. Thank you, it's a compliment. My name is Leslie Kosenko. I'm a breast cancer survivor that came back to school later in life. And I'm at IU for Master's in Public Affairs in Nonprofit Management. So I was in corporate life with semiconductors and mergers and acquisitions and software for many years. So that work-life balance that everybody's talking about, I lived it for many, many, many years. So definitely can appreciate what Portugal has to offer. So what is Fulbright? It is in 1946. It is from the Senator J. William Fulbright, and it was established after World War II to help foster mutual understanding between nations, to advance knowledge across communities, and improve lives around the world. And so it was by the Secretary of State with the Fulbright Act, where there was executive agreements for the United States to use surplus war property to then make binational relationships with other countries around the world to create this academic, peaceful, mutual understanding for education. And so there are 49 commissions around the world. A commission is when the country decides to partner in, it's not just funding, but partner completely, and between U.S. and foreign governments. It's also through Congress via appropriations every year. It goes through for funding. And then there's partners as well. So we have the IIE, which is the Institute of International Education. We have the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, and that's just within the US. We'll see it in a minute. So 160 countries, that's crazy. And 800 scholars and administrators, 900 visiting scholars. So this is over 8,000 people every year since 1946. So it's over 400,000 students, scholars, teachers, researchers, artists, musicians, journalists. It's actually quite incredible. So 2,200 US students, 4,000 foreign students, 400 plus for foreign language teaching. So what does this mean? So being a Fulbrighter isn't just being a student. It isn't just being a scholar. You can be a smart person, but there's a specific type of person that is looked at to be a Fulbrighter. So you are a cultural ambassador of your host country and the US. And you have a responsibility to be that ambassador. And then you'll see from my project as I go through it on how these people are very dedicated after they're done to tell about what they had not only learned while being a Fulbrighter, but how they contribute to their community still today. And so it's not just having an A-type personality, it's actually having a passion for changing the world. And I think that that is something that is a niche that you do not see everywhere in the world. So it's very special. So contributor to worldwide diplomacy. So 61 Nobel Prize winners, 89 Pulitzer Prize, 39 heads of states or government, and I mean like the president of the government, and 10 US Congress. So who are the stakeholders? So I went through the US side. The stakeholders in Portugal are the US Embassy, and then a lot of ministry names that I cannot pronounce, so you can see them right here. Commotion, FCT, DGE, a lot of people that are presented here today, and FLAD, of course, and without these partnerships, it takes a village to run Fulbright, and so, but not only that, then there's the government of the Azores and all the universities and the host institutions, and then the Alumni Association. So who is the team? So this is the lovely five-person team, and it starts with Atilio, who's the executive director. Atilio started many, many years ago at Fulbright and has worked in different roles. Carolina, the administrative assistant, Dorian, who's also here today, Sophia is the program coordinator for the Portuguese, and Dora, which is the most fantastic picture known to mankind, is the program coordinator for the U.S. Fulbrighters. So what did I do? Educational advising. So with Dorian, I did with the CCC and the pathways. This is advising undergraduate and high school students in order to get to the U.S. So it's everything from the SATs to the GRE to the TOEFL to the application essays. I'm talking really fast. I'm just going to slow down because who cares? We have time. So at the end of the day, advising high school students, I never thought that would be part of the Fulbright office, but it is, and I think it's special because the intern that we saw present, he's also joining the calls to try to be a Fulbrighter, and it's just an example of the advising isn't just here's a link, it's actually like a dedicated relationship as much as they can. And then, so also learned about NASA and college partner recruitment. I know that when we were here for the meet and greet with the July students that were here, Ricardo and Michael spoke a lot about the opportunities. There are quite a bit of opportunities with FLAD and with grant opportunities, and Berkeley has quite a few. And then with the program coordination, so at a high level, learned about like the grantee funding process and how that kind of works from attended webinars for potential grantees. And the Ukraine specialist scholar worked on that, well, not still working on that. And then English translations for board reports, statistical year-end data, and creating graphs for the academic in-year grantees. So for the entire group, I also created some surveys so that they can use for in-person and online events. And not only that, but we went to, they let me tag along for for different events. So attending an internship presentation and seeing that it is very similar. We actually probably would have got questioned quite a bit more in America. But it was very similar to see like professors in Portugal and from, and then to go to the Art and Democracy exhibit at the Católica and having lunch and being included in, but I would say the highlight for the activities was obviously the Grantees Award ceremony that is at the U.S. Embassy here in Lisbon. So, impact projects. So, social impact can encompass quite a few things, a range of ideas and projects, and we're dedicated to showing the specific groups of art, music, writing, science, education, and public health. And so there was 3 questions that everyone was given, and it was tailored specifically for what they do. And it was, how did your Fulbright fellowship, how has it influenced the work that you're doing now? And then what challenges do you think that society is facing and what is going on right now? And if you could dream and have one impact in the world, what would it be? And these are the people that are actually making the steps to fulfilling this. So first I'm going to quickly run through these, a lot of text. If you would like this presentation, please let me know, because I'm not going to read through all of this. But so we're going to start with Martin Sosa Traveras, and I'm going to totally, why do I have an accent? I don't know. But we're going to totally squeeze through this. And Martin remembers that the networks that he made while he was at the University of Chicago, and how he's using that now at the Central Music Festival. He's inviting some of those artists and musicians to come and play at the Central Festival, where he sees challenges are in youth, in music, and universal access to culture and the beauty of arts to everyone. So he applied that with the Central Music Festival by having nature walks with music, by having dueling pianos, by having youth days and specific youth events. So completely implementing and you're gonna see this repetitively as we go through these. So then we have Beatrice, who learned 3D printing while in New York City and did many work for free, little 3D printed statues, and completely got immersed in how she could use visual arts and technology for challenging equality and not having equality with ourselves, and also empowerment of women. For Andre Santos Peralta, so he is the Deputy Director of Public Health. So he learned how to be empathetic and also learned how to speak up. So while he was in America. So I think that this is something that, like, cross-culturally we can learn a lot, is if you take in what the other culture is like, then you may actually learn something, to be quite honest. And so his concern is on the erosion of trust. And what he's doing right now is he's using the statistical software R in order to find out more information in the public health organization that he's in. And then we have Joanna Bardalo, and she used her education for Scientista Regresa a Escola in the Azores, and this is to partner scientists with children so that they can say, I've met a scientist. So it eliminates the fear of becoming a scientist. I can definitely say from going to a engineering school that the ratio is significant. There is an intrepidation. And so as a scientist herself and a science communicator, that's what Joanna's doing. And then we move to the Americans, and so this is Christy, and she has increased her communication and her dance style, and she's still using that to champion experimentation. So her quote is, receptivity to behold the complexity and myriad of individuals. She's a trailblazer in gender roles as well, and works to break down stereotypes. Brenda works at NASA, and she's working with climate change, and she wishes to have a cultural shift where people start listening to scientific evidence. So it's interesting that we have the overlap between the Portuguese people that are using statistical software and data analysis, and then we have the Americans doing the exact same thing. So are we really that different? I don't think so. And then we have Elaine, who wrote the play, Fado, the Saddest Music in the World. And having seen it twice, I can say that it's sad, but probably more sad if I understood what she was singing, but still beautiful. So she is working in New York City for international climate change. And so that's something that she wants to lean in for supporting each other and dream for the generations ahead. She also wrote about how while she was in the Azores that everything that she did with the community was inclusive, and that coming from America, and especially she's in Canada and she was in America, but she said that everything seemed exclusive in America, but here it was inclusive, and that's something that I can definitely agree with my trip. Genesis. So Genesis got a whole page. So Genesis we included because of her poet writing and how She has the courage to stand up on stage and have a poetic voice. And having seen her personally and purchased her book, which I think that everybody should, and I'll gladly forward the newsletter and the article as it's coming out. And to have curiosity, wonder, frustration, sadness, boredom, excitement, creativity, and love. And her challenge that she sees in the world right now is the cost of living. And so and through her poetry and working as an educator, using self-awareness of people's self, and I can honestly say, like, throughout this experience, thank God for Genesis having self-awareness of herself and of us, because it's definitely made the trip a lot easier. And then the last two, so we have the speechwriter and back to learning empathetic communication in Portugal. And then I thought that this was really impactful, that the fundamental of being compassionate and listening is something that you can use in a small setting or a very large setting. And so, and we're gonna end with Philip. And Philip is a university counselor. So also with education, also with supporting people, also with collaborating with multiple different groups and taking and helping students to fear less and see beyond state borders and for people to travel internationally. So what does this mean? So what I witnessed. So the impact of the Fulbright program is still relevant. The embassy support and the U.S. support and the support of all the partnerships makes it extremely successful. The smiles of the scholars as they were receiving their awards and them giving back after, the proudness of the families because it takes a village, the overwhelming looks while they're on Dorian's calls because of all they have to do to get to the U.S. and just looking at the different university, I'm going to just glide through this. To be quite honest, I had a whole list, but the passion is the same, and that's what's important. And I think if you have a passion for something, and that's something that you want to do, then I say go after it. There are opportunities to support you to get a Fulbright scholarship, to get a flat scholarship. So if you're passionate about something, then learn more. And I think all of us coming here for this internship, we have that in ourselves. And then I would say that I definitely understood everybody talking about the work-life balance. I definitely understood everybody to just breathe. It's still very difficult for me to get anxiety or be there on time or to totally just be an American, to be quite honest. And it is refreshing, and I know everybody has said it throughout this, but what can we apply in the future? And so I actually learned a lot of new tasks. I knew how to do marketing, I knew how to do sales and communications, but I've never done it in this type of setting. And so learning that, the confidence, just having the confidence to roll with it and evolve this project and to make it into something that, there's 1,000 hits each week, which is not to say just me. There's many events that are making all of the hits as well. But to have the confidence in me to complete this project, it just keeps getting better and building and building. And then the inclusion to learn about the Fulbright program and of each of the people's roles that work at the commission. And so welcoming, and don't worry, this is not goodbye by any means. So I'm going to read this really quickly, and then we'll go to questions, and then we'll be done. It's difficult for me to put into words the impact of Fulbright. This is the happiest I have been in my life. When you can feel like your wings are clipped before, when they're unclipped, then you just fly. And so the passion and the dedication of the team is something that is evident every day. They believe in the program 1,000% and more. The welcoming of the team and looking at all of the different projects and the inspiration of the Fulbrighters themselves has made me want to rethink what I'm doing so that I can strive to be like this team or a Fulbrighter. So, thank you for changing my life. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and changing my view on a lot of things. This will not be goodbye. This is just see you later. Thank you to Flad. Thank you to SiPN and everything. And oh my goodness, we're done. Round of applause for everybody.
We had an emotional second half, huh?
Yeah, we did. but
Okay. Just bringing on the waterworks here. All right, questions?
No
for,
tears, though.
Questions for Leslie.
Sam. Oh, I think when I was in mergers and acquisitions, like you work with people, but you don't really work with people. And so learning about my coworkers at a personal level, and just that if you do things right, you don't have to work too hard and you don't take work home with you. And I think that that's important, and to be quite honest. And that all of them are very good at what they do. As far as challenges, I didn't really have too many challenges besides my own personal BS of challenges. So, but I mean, other than that, I think I can't give you a 1 or 2 word answer because it's like actually quite a lot.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? No?
A fan.
Okay. Round of applause again for Leslie. Thank you so much for ending that. All right, everyone. Okay, well, to close, I wasn't prepared to officially close this off, but Paula, do you want to say anything? Yes. No, come up here. Join me up here. I'll let Paula have the final word, but I'll just say, on behalf of the SiPN team, thank you everyone for presenting, for giving us a little inside look on what you did on your day-to-day here for 2 months. I really do hope that you left with an understanding, of course, a better understanding of yourself and things professionally, but also that, the experience specifically happened in Portugal, that stayed with you in various ways. So thank you. I guess that's all I have to say. Paula, the lady of the hour. Okay, I'll say.
Well, my first words is also thank you. She said that, but I'll say it again. I just wanted to tell you that this is a challenge every year that we have this program and placing the students. And each year, it feels that it's better and better, and I'm so proud. We are so proud because this is, of course, we work as a team, and we exchange our ideas, and we make our efforts and the most to succeed. And our success, your success is our success, of course. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you all because I see that I understand that you made amazing jobs. Some of you, of course, some efforts because this was some of the fields you worked on. You didn't have full training for that, but you managed to overcome and to accomplish an incredible work. And of course, I cannot go by without saying that I really have to thank the organizations that every year, year after year, believe and are always welcome our interns. We have many organizations, and every year we have different ones. Some of them are still, for instance, DGAE, right? Has been our partner for some years now, and others too. I don't want just to mention some because that would not be fair. I mentioned everyone, and some are new in this in this program this year, and the team and myself. We are very, very happy that this has worked out so well. I enjoyed so much this day and these presentations that I see that this is a work that really vale a pena.
It's worth it.
Okay, so thank you so much again, and I hope to see you sometime next year, who knows? Somewhere. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. Y'all are free to go. There's still coffee. Don't forget any of your belongings. Okay. All right, bye. So, some people might want to take photos. If so, this is your opportunity. A group photo, group photo. One group photo. One group photo outside. One group photo outside.